Hi friends, welcome back to Bedroom Chronicles. Today I'm giving all the tea about where the Crawdads sing, about the book and the movie. I don't have like that much information on the movie because they're filming right now, but the book was incredible. Let me just start off saying that. And also I have no May photo shoot video for YouTube because it was just a really simple shoot, so it was very self-explanatory. But if you want to see the pictures, you can check out my Instagram, which I'll leave below in like the comments area, or I could put it here for you guys. But back to the book. So I actually wrote so many notes on this book because it was my first fiction read of the year. I've been reading like a lot of memoirs, or a poetry book or like a self-help book. So this is my first fiction book of the year, and I've kind of like not been into fiction lately. I don't really know why, but this has really got me back into fiction, and I'm like so happy about it. It was amazing. But so with all my notes, let's start at the top. So with this book, it came out, I don't know when it came out, but Reese Witherspoon, she had posted it on her like Reese's book club last year in 2020 sometime, and everyone and their mother was talking about this book. And I was like, oh, I should read it. Like, it's so, like, everyone thinks it's so good. And then I just didn't, like, I was just like, oh, okay, I'll read it later. Kind of just pushed it off. And then I tried sampling the book because I was like, on my Nook, I was like, oh, let me sample it, read like the first, like whatever pages or chapters they give you, and let me see if I like it first. And then if I like it, then I'll just buy it and I'll read it. So I was sampling it, and I kept sampling it because I could not finish the sample. Like, it was so slow at the beginning of the book. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna read this. And then like I had sampled like half of it, whatever the sample was, I'd read like half of it. And then I forgot what happened, so I had to redo it, like restart it. And then I really needed a book for May, like to pick a book for May, and I hadn't picked a book, so I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna read this book because I've been saying I was gonna do it and I haven't done it. So I bought it, and honestly I didn't start reading it until like late in May. I don't know why, I was just like procrastinating, I guess, or I wasn't in the mood. And just because I knew that like the beginning of the book was slow and I couldn't get past it, so it was just hard for me to start it. But I finally got past the sample, and still a lot of the beginning of the book is pretty slow and boring, so that was like hard for me to want to keep reading. But I did, and I got past it. And once you kind of like get past the beginning part of it, and she hits like a stage where she gets to go to school for a sec, and basically like that was kind of like, oh, okay, something like really, really interesting is happening. So that was like the start where I was like, okay, I think I can push through with the book. Then, oh, and then they kind of mention, like in the beginning of the book, like the death of Chase Andrews. So I feel like that definitely intrigues you too. And it goes from like past to present, like the book. So 1 year, I think the start year is like 1950 something, I think. And I think the like present, or supposed to be present, is like 1969. So then each year, like it keeps going up to 1969 and you get there, but it's a lot of the before too, so you understand everything. So I also struggled, what I struggled with was the slang, because it is based in North Carolina, in a really like small town, and they had like a lot of slang at that time and just in like the South and stuff. So the way it was written, it was like hard for me to like pronounce in my head, and I was just like struggling a little bit with it. But you push through, and it wasn't like too much of it. It was more like certain people's slang. I was like, okay, I have no idea what this means, but it wasn't a big deal because it like wasn't like an overwhelming amount where I didn't understand. And then okay, so Kaya, basically her character is like a young girl when you first meet her, and then we grow with her as she gets older. But sadly with Kaya, she basically faces a lot of isolation because she's abandoned by her family. Basically you start with her mom, and then her siblings, and then her dad, and by the time she's like 10, she's all alone and has to do like everything by herself and like fend for herself. And she like doesn't stay with school because like the kids are mean and make fun of her, and like the town just like basically makes rumors about this child and the family, and no one speaks to her. So she really just plays outside and with like the creatures and like animals, whatever nature is, that's what she kind of plays with. But then like the way she has to figure out to fend for herself, she she knows Jumpin', which he is a black man who owns like a gas station area for like boats and stuff. So she becomes friends with him and his wife, and they kind of really do take care of her a lot. And the way their relationship like builds throughout the entire book is like so beautiful and so nice, and actually like made me cry. It was just like really sweet, and how these people like took care of her, and you know, they didn't know her, that she's just like this one little girl who they like really help out. They give her clothes and stuff, and they make sure she's taken care of in a way, but not in a way that makes her feel pitied, like, you know. So I thought that was sweet. And then she also makes friends with another boy like in the area, but not right away. Like their friendship doesn't happen normally, because obviously Kaya like she doesn't have like social skills. Like she literally lives by herself 24/7, doesn't really speak to people or people her age. So she meets T. She sees him around, like when she's on the boat and stuff. She sees him around, but they like exchange feathers on the beach, and then one day they kind of just like bump into each other, and at first it's like overwhelming for Kaya because she's not used to it, but their friendship is great and blossoms into more than just a friendship, which was really nice to read. Tate is one of my favorite characters other than Kaya, and I really like Jumpin' and Mabel. So there's a lot of people I love in this book. Like all their characters were super well written. And so Tate teaches Kaya how to read, and like he gives her all these science books, and they fall in love. And this is like the first time like Kaya's really experiencing love and having attention and like just being around someone other than herself. Unfortunately, it does not last for a while. He goes off to college, and she's like a lot younger than him, and they don't make it work for a while, which is sad because I loved them together. I thought they were just so cute. But yeah, so because T taught her how to read, she learns about her family, and in the Bible, like she finds a Bible in their house and has all of her siblings' names, because when she was 6 when her mom left, and then all her siblings had left too, so she didn't remember them. She had only remembered one of her brothers named Jody because she was closest with him. But then she found everyone's like names in the Bible, so that's like how she like knows them, but she doesn't really remember who they are exactly, which is sad because you're trying to hold on to like any type of family history that you have, and she doesn't really know much. When her and Tate like break up, it's kind of like a loneliness all over again. So it's like she's experienced this isolation and abandonment like a whole another way, and it's just, it sucks because it's like she's already been through that, and now she's to go through it again. So I think that really affected her and impacted her negatively, because it was just a kick in, it was like, you know, a slap in the face basically, because it's like again and again, like why do people keep leaving her, and why does she have to keep living in isolation by herself? So I felt really bad for her. So with Chase Andrews, you find out that he's dead, like for present day, but then you hear about him like periodically throughout the book. And then we get to a point when Kaya is like 15, 16 maybe, and she like has interest in Chase Andrews. And honestly, from the beginning of the book, even when I found out Chase Andrews was dead, I was like, there's something about him that I just don't like. Like, I don't like him. I have a sense that I just don't like him, whatever. So she starts like seeing him and thinking he's good looking, and he finds interest in her too. And they start to have a relationship, and it's very secretive because, you know, people call Kaya the marsh girl and don't speak to her in this community. And it's really sad because they know nothing about her, and they just judge her, and they like push her off to this side of town, and that's it. And obviously Kaya begins to like it that way, where she doesn't have to speak to people and all that. But her and Chase have this relationship. It's all in secret, and she like obviously begins to love him and spend so much time with him, and they were together for a few years, but it doesn't last because he doesn't bring her around ever in town, and that's where he's from. And just later on, Tate has told Kaya like he's seeing other girls, and Kaya's like, okay, first of all, don't even come over here with that shit because you broke my heart and you did shit too. So her and Tate get into a huge fight, and then Chase is just getting away with all the things that he's doing. And then Kaya finds out because for Chase's birthday, she goes into town so she can like bake him a cake, and she buys a newspaper. When she goes home, she looks in the newspaper, and in the goddamn newspaper, Chase his pictures in the newspaper with another woman, and it announces their engagement. And I just like, I knew that was coming. I knew something horrible was coming with Chase because he just gave me bad vibes. I didn't like him. And the things that he would say to Kaya and do with her, like, not a fan. But that just like put me off, like, over the edge, because I'm like, this poor girl literally keeps putting herself out there to these guys, and they're just like ruining it for her. And it's like, she just wants some type of normalcy, like some type of friendship or partnership or anything where she's not by herself, and everyone just keeps messing it up. Okay, I know I'm like spilling all the tea about the book, but it's just amazing. So her and Chase, like, okay, their relationship is done, over with, whatever. But like, okay, this is like getting closer to present day as the book goes on, because it flips back and forth from like past to present. So once you get to past and it's like getting closer to the present, we find out that like Chase is dead. Like, so we get up to the part from the beginning of the book where Chase is dead, and everyone thinks it's Kaya, but Kaya has become an author, and she writes books, and she like starts to have money of her own, and she's super smart, and she writes like a lot of science books and stuff like that, and is amazing, you know what I mean? So she's supposed to go out of town that night. The weekend that Chase dies, she goes out of town. But the reason that people think, there's like many reasons that people think that she killed him, because the town suspected that they were spending time together, but he was really with someone else, so that gives her motive. Then one day on the beach, Chase is drunk and he sees Kaya, and he starts like attacking her and tries to rape her, and he's ripping off her clothes and like being horrible, literally trying to rape her, and it's a horrible scene. And she fights back and she gets away, and as she's leaving, she's like, if you ever like come near me again, I'll kill you. And people heard her say that, so then Chase ends up dead, like whatever, a few weeks later. So it's just like more motive. But the evidence that they give of like why she could have killed him, and why, you know, she didn't kill him, because she was out of town, and which she was out of town. Like, there is proof that she was out of town, but they're also saying it's possible for her to come back. But there was just not enough like definitive evidence to really say, you know what, she came back, she killed him, and that's that. So it was really like flippy floppy with that. And I thought it was so interesting because there was a lot of hearsay, and it's like, I didn't know, I couldn't figure out. I was like, bro, a huge part of me is like, that she killed him. And like, honestly, I didn't feel bad because I never liked Chase, so whatever. But yeah, it was just so crazy. Her lawyer was A1, so good. And so they can't prove that she's guilty, so the jury like says not guilty, and she gets like to live her life. And her brother comes back at another point. Like, just like a lot of awesome things happen to Kaya, even though so many bad things have happened to her. And so I'm like skipping around a lot because I mean, I'm spilling tea, but I'm skipping a lot of details, so you guys should just read the book. But so yeah, Kaya gets to live her life, and she spends her life with Tate, and it's amazing. And they get back together, and I love that. And a lot of good things happen, but a lot of people die, and it's just like sad. And then later on in life, Kaya dies, and Tate experiences that alone. And then he like is in their house, because they still live in the house that she like lived in. They just built it differently and like added on to it. And one day he's like snooping through the stuff, not really snooping, it's his house. So I don't know, he finds stuff of Kaya's, and he opens it, and it's a seashell necklace. And Kaya had given Chase Andrews that necklace when they were together, and he had worn it every day. And when his body was found, that necklace wasn't there. So the mother was like, she did it because who else is gonna take the necklace? But she got off. They couldn't prove that she was guilty. But in the in the box, his necklace was there, and it was a poem about a man falling down off of like a tower into water, and that's how Chase died. So basically, that at the end of the book, you know that Kaya kills Chase, and like, it was just really mind-blowing. But it was just so well written, so well done. The love in it, the friendship, the hardship that was in there. And honestly, all the poetry and science like aspects of the book really make it, because it's just so cool, and like, it just shows how you can make so much happen for yourself even when you've been handed the short end of the stick. Like, Kyle learned to read from someone in town, and they became friends, and he gave her science books and textbooks, and she like wrote like over 7 books. Like, that's incredible. Just a lot of amazing things happened. And I definitely think you guys should read the book before the movie comes out, because they are filming right now. And if you check out Where the Crawdads Sing like movie, you can see like the cast. I actually saw the cast before I read the book, so it was like kind of hard for me to picture my own characters. But who they chose for Kaya and Tate, I feel like were really good choices. And I pictured Kaya a lot like as the person they had picked for like the movie. I picture her a lot as I was reading it because I knew her face from a show that I'd watched. But the guys, I didn't really know their faces as well, or didn't remember it, so I got to picture them a little bit better. But I shall post their picture up here so you can let me know what you think just by looking at them, if you feel like that's a good fit, or if you've read the book before and if you feel like these characters like fit what you pictured them. I feel like they do. I feel like they might have been able to pick a different Chase because I pictured him a little bit differently. But overall, I think the movie's gonna be great. They're filming right now. I'm so excited. Like, I just cannot wait. I think it's gonna be super well done. And I think Reese Witherspoon is great for like amplifying women's voices like through their books and making them into movies, because it's really great that we get to see that. And it's like produced and directed by women, so I think that's really amazing, in that the book was written by a woman, and now it's being like on the forefront, and it's a story about a really incredible woman and like everything that she's done. So I'm excited to see it. I hope you guys all read the book, and I hope that no one watched this if they didn't read the book, because I just did so many spoilers. I'm so sorry. But I will leave that in the comments to make sure no one watches this if they didn't read the book, because so many spoilers. I basically told the whole book. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys read the book. I hope you watch the movie. And I'll see y'all next time. Much love always.